Welcome to Mrs. E English Skills. I'm Mrs. E and today we're looking at commas. But what are commas? Well, a comma is a punctuation mark. But what's punctuation? Well, punctuation is the use of marks and spaces to show meaning in text. What I mean by that is when we talk, we use expression, pauses, different tone of voice in order for our audience to fully understand what we're trying to say and the emotion behind it. When it comes to writing things down, this emotion and varying tone of voice and expression is not evident, so we use punctuation instead in order to fully convey the meaning. Let's take a look at how punctuation can affect text by using an example from Lynn Truss's book, Eat, Shoots and Leaves. Dear Jack, I want a man who knows what love is all about. You are generous, kind, thoughtful. People who are not like you admit to being useless and inferior. You have ruined me for other men. I yearn for you. I have no feelings whatsoever when we're apart. I can be forever happy. Will you let me be yours? Jill. How does Jill feel about Jack? Well, it seems as if Jill really likes Jack. We may even say that Jill loves Jack. Let's read it again. Dear Jack, I want a man who knows what love is. All about you are generous, kind, thoughtful people who are not like you. Admit to being useless and inferior. You have ruined me. For other men I yearn. For you I have no feelings whatsoever. When we're apart, I can be forever happy. Will you let me be? Yours, Jill. How does Jill feel about Jack now? Have her feelings changed? Or have we changed something else? What have we changed? All that we have changed are the punctuation marks. We've not changed any of the words. We've just moved the punctuation around, and this has completely changed the meaning of the text. So if Jill intended to send the first letter, but sent the second letter because she was unaware of punctuation or how to use punctuation correctly, then she would get a different outcome than the one that she really wanted. Now, this is an extreme example, and you're not likely to go this far wrong, but this does show you the effect that punctuation has and why it's so important to try and upskill in this area. For now, let's get back to commas. You can look at other punctuation marks in videos on my channel. So what do we use commas for? Well, a comma signifies a pause or a break in the text. If we were speaking, this is usually when we would take a breath. There are two main reasons why we would use a comma. Number one, to separate items in a list. And number two, to mark off the extra information, the subordinate clause, in complex sentences. I discuss complex sentences in more detail in my Sentence Structure Part 2 video, so check this out if you haven't already. How do we use commas in a list? Well, commas are used to separate each item in a list. For example, when I go to the shops, I need to buy bread, milk, strawberries, flour and eggs. Here you can see each item, bread, milk, strawberries, flour and eggs, are separated using a comma, which is the black punctuation mark after each of these items. Have you noticed that between the last two items there is no comma at all? Well, this is because in between the last two items of a list, we would use either the word and or to show that this is the end of the list. This word, this connective, fills in the pause, so there is no requirement and no need for a comma between the last two items of your list. Task 1. Have a go at inserting commas and either the word and or in the lists below 1 to 4. Pause this video if you would like to have a go at this task before I start to reveal the answers. Okay, let's look at the answers. Number 1. I can't decide between the cafe, the shops, the park, or the cinema. Number 2. You need flour, eggs, butter, sugar and milk. Number 3. You can decorate your home with cushions, fluffy throws, picture frames and fancy candles. And number 4. I can't do today, but I can do Thursday, Friday or Saturday. How did you do? Commas in complex sentences. If you've watched my video, Sentence Structure Part 2, you should have a good idea of how to use commas in complex sentences. So be sure to check that out before or after watching the rest of this video. We use commas to separate the extra information, also called the subordinate clause, in a complex sentence. Let's look at an example. Mr. Richmond, who lives next door, is moving out. The main clause, the bit that makes sense on its own, is Mr. Richmond is moving out. The subordinate clause is who lives next door. It's just more information or extra information about Mr. Richmond. So we separate this using commas, as you can see in the example. The subordinate clause can be at the beginning, middle, or end of a sentence. Remember, this is the part of the sentence that doesn't make sense on its own. Some examples are, Miranda, my oldest friend, is an architect. Whenever I'm scared, I think of a happy thought. I got the job, which is a relief. The sections in blue are the subordinate clauses. My oldest friend, whenever I'm scared, which is a relief. This is the extra information in each sentence, and it's the bit that relies upon the main clause in order for the whole sentence to make sense. When the subordinate clause is at the end of a sentence, it doesn't always require a comma, as you saw in my Sentence Structure Part 2 video. So bear this in mind. Task 2. Insert commas into the complex sentences below. Remember, the subordinate clause is the part of the sentence that does not make sense on its own, and this is the part of the complex sentence that is to be separated using a comma or commas, depending on where it sits in the sentence. Pause this video to have a go at the task before I reveal the answers. Okay, let's look at the answers. Number 1, the shop, which is closed on Tuesdays, sells vegan cakes. Number 2, since it's your last day, we will take you out for dinner. Number 3, even if the fair is closed, we will still visit Blackpool. Number 4, go to reception when you arrive to get your key. You will notice in 1 to 4, if we were to delete the subordinate clauses, the rest of the sentence will make sense on its own. So number 1, the shop sells vegan cakes. Number 2, we will take you out for dinner. Number 3, we will still visit Blackpool. And number 4, go to reception to get your key. This is how you can check that you've put your commas in the right place. How did you do? Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, like and share, and check out my other videos to keep improving your English. If you have any questions about the content of this video, just pop them down in the comment bar below. I'm Mrs. E, and I'll see you soon.